Hello, everyone. This is teacher Lenon, and I am here today with a special guest, my friend Gabriel. Gabriel, can you introduce yourself, man?
Yeah, hey everybody. My name is Gabe, and I have been friends with Lennon for about 10 years now on his journey of teaching English, American English, and I am so glad that he's invited me to just chat about how to best learn a new language and to learn how to be fluent in that. So,
Great,
what do you have
buddy.
for me, Lennon?
Well, I have some questions here that I'd like to work on First of all, I would like to talk to you about the idea of talking to an American person sometimes can panic people, Like sometimes
Right.
they believe that they will make mistakes and they fear making mistakes. Instead of talking, they avoid it. Not only because of their fear to speak, but because they fear to be judged or not to be understood. And
Right.
you already have some experiences talking to Brazilians and talking to people from other nations. So I would like to ask you to talk about it. What is your opinion about it?
Yeah, well, that initial apprehension, yeah, it's I can understand that myself as I've been studying. I've studied Spanish and also Arabic, and as a student in both those languages, there is that fear of am I gonna sound not am I gonna sound stupid? Not that you would, but am I gonna sound stupid? We think to ourselves, is how am I coming across? I hope that I said that word right. And I would say that most of the time when I had that fear, it held me back from learning more about the language, from learning more vocabulary. Because as I held back learning or held back speaking and practicing my speaking, I let go of opportunities or passed by opportunities that would allow me to be able to learn how a normal English conversation or how a normal conversation in either of those two languages would flow. And I found that the more mistakes I made, the more I learned from it. And it can be discouraging. It certainly can. But anything that is worth doing is going to be challenged. And I would encourage you to not give up on those endeavors to not just to have a perfect American accent, but because that isn't what it's about. It's about communicating your ideas and your thoughts and your heart to those that you're speaking to, and people can see that beyond your words. They can see it through your body language, through your eyes, through the way that you communicate. Through those things can have an even bigger impact than just your vocabulary. So if you're just starting out, it's okay to have an imperfect speech pattern or have to make mistakes, because that's how you learn.
Got it. And it's nice you mentioned about American accent, because there are some students that they are crazy for the American accent.
Right.
I must be American to know how to communicate. And I try telling them that even Americans, they have different accents.
Right.
Can you tell me
Yes.
about it? I mean, the melting pot that is America. So
Yeah, I mean, America is. I think the expression used now is like it's a salad. It's a mixture of a lot of different cultures, a lot of different people from a lot of different places. And I feel that in America, what I've found is that accents are valuable, and there's something that are seen as unique and different. Yeah, there's I'm sure there's some people that would think otherwise, but they're probably very close-minded and probably aren't successful. But but there are people. I would say that the majority of Americans find an accent from another part of the world very intriguing. And I was as I think about this, what comes to mind is, again, what do people see? We know that we want people to hear our words, not just hear how they sound. We want people to hear our heart and hear our intellect. And I would say when you approach a conversation with an American or with any person speaking English, and you're new to it or you're learning, having an accent will not hinder you from being able to communicate. And what I mean by that is focusing on the content of your words. So your vocabulary is the biggest part, not your accent. when I hear people, as an American, I can honestly say that when I hear people speaking in a different accent, I listen for the idea that they're communicating. I don't listen for, oh, well, how are they saying this or that or this? What I tend to think is that this person already knows another language. I don't. They're already ahead of me. They're learning a second language. I wish I could be like them.
Do you speak
And
Portuguese?
huh?
Do you speak
Oh, can I?
Portuguese?
Não falo bem português. That's all. I can't speak Portuguese well. I can't speak it at all. No, I wish that I could. I think that there is especially among a lot of younger Americans, a desire to learn about different cultures and different languages. Me personally, I love learning about different languages. Have I mastered any successfully? Not not perfect, but I can understand. I can understand more now. Yeah, I hope that answered your question, Lynn.
Yeah, it did.
Okay.
The next thing that I would like to mention is that here in Brazil, we tend to have an approach of teaching grammar first, and only then teaching people how to speak. Which, by the way, I don't agree with it.
Neither do I.
I think the person must know how to speak, and the grammar must come naturally. But I would like to know your opinion about it, because here I believe that sometimes Brazilian students, they are requested to know more grammar than even the Americans do. I mean, about present perfect continuous, and these kind of verb tenses. Do you think it's necessary knowing the names and how to use this or that, or the speaking in itself?
No. I only a minimal part of grammar is really necessary. Of course, you have to know how to form sentences, but to try and understand all those concepts, like I, as a native speaker, don't understand all those concepts. Growing up, I have heard the normal way to say something, or what's normal in my region. So I've learned how to say things, not by studying like a book, but I've learned it by just hearing what sounds correct. And to try and study like a structure or the science or the system of like a language as a beginner, that's like teaching. That would be the same as teaching someone that is in the first grade here, or their first year of school, all of these grammar concepts, and that's impossible. It's you have to be able to first hear and duplicate what you hear, and as you're learning a language, and then you can study deeper grammar. But for conversational English, the most important thing is again going back to ideas, communicating ideas. So if you say something, if I hear someone, because I work with the general public in my job.
Can you repeat that, because it cut?
Yeah, because since I work with the general public, with my job, when I hear someone that is speaking in a different accent, and typically a foreign one, what I listen for is not perfect grammar. I just listen to hear the idea, and I can understand the idea that someone is trying to communicate. So worrying about the perfect grammar isn't something that Americans look for, or even that they do, because most Americans don't speak in it. They speak in a way that's grammatically incorrect. So it's more just, like how normal, if you're passing by somebody on the street, if you're talking with friends, you don't speak in a way that's going to, be perfect or proper. It's going to be in a way that is going to make, is going to be more relaxed. And so to focus on grammar would be focusing on, right? That's like you're focusing on writing an academic paper. And that may be your goal, and that's wonderful if that's your goal. That it's certainly good to study those things, but to have a foundation first in conversation and focusing on communicating ideas versus having perfect grammar, you're going to get further by focusing on speaking in a less formal way. So those grammar rules, they can help you in some ways, but It's better to focus on how everyday Americans would be talking to each other, and that's usually a much more simplified version versus the perfect grammar of a paper or of a newspaper, I would say.
I totally agree with you. And you summing up your idea, it brought up a thought like, I kind of think that when students here in Brazil, when they are trying to learn the grammar, it looks like they are trying to be academic. You know what I mean? Like a book,
right.
like just as you said. And of course, it's no need for that. I mean, just focus on the ideas and improve your vocabulary. I think that's how you can speak better.
Right.
And that's it. Do you have any advice for people who are afraid of learning English or afraid of making mistakes?
I would say just from a personal perspective, what I've found especially with Arabic, when I was learning that was it can wear out your brain trying to translate in your head what your thoughts are from your native language into a foreign language or another language. And what I found with that is that most people are very understanding. And if you put too much pressure on yourself to have a perfect pronunciation or a perfect grammar, you're going to miss out on opportunities. Like I said earlier, you're going to miss out on those chances to talk with people because of fear. And one thing that I was talking with Lenon a little bit earlier before we started the video was just the idea of confidence. It's not confidence that, oh, you know so much about this and you're going to do so perfect. Or going to be so perfect at it. No, it's having the confidence that says like, I've put in the work, I've put in the hard work of learning, and I want to be teachable and I want to be able to have an opportunity to make mistakes and learn from them. Because I bet you the mistakes that you make early on, yes, there's going to be some embarrassment from it, but those will stick with you, and you're going to remember. You're going to learn the most from those small mistakes that you make in the beginning. And there's no other way to learn something. It's like learning to walk or ride a bike. You're gonna you fall and make and trip up on something or get confused. You get thrown off by something, or it is a difficult process, and I don't doubt that at all. And I do have to recognize that I think that it shows a very strong. It shows that those of you that are trying to learn English to better your lives, to better your opportunities for with business. I really admire that. From my perspective, I was fortunate to be able to grow up in a country where I already know English, since it's one of the most widely spoken languages. I recognize that I'm very fortunate and privileged because of that, and I truly admire your strength to learn another language, because I know how difficult it is. Inspires me to want to learn other languages as well, so that I can have more opportunities myself. And my biggest piece of advice would be don't give up on it, and keep putting yourself out there, because the more that you do, the more opportunity you have to make to better your skills as an English speaker. And from a practical standpoint, my best advice would be, there may not be a lot of Americans to talk to there. If there's an English speaking person, talk to them. Watch those shows, see how people say certain words, so that for you can have it already like stored in your brain that it's not. It's different than reading a book about it, but to hear the way that somebody says it and the intonation that they give, that once that's kind of ingrained in your memory from watching television and hearing it repeated, then it will be easier to be able to duplicate that in a conversation.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think that...
Of course you do. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, I have to, You're American, so who am I to just like, oh man, you're wrong. So I totally agree with you. And I just mentioning what you said before, the mistakes, they are the best tool for you to improve your English, because you're trying and then you make a mistake. This is gonna be a step for you to get better on your English, and it's going to make you able to not repeat the same mistake again, I believe, you know. So I would like to thank you for this
Thank
short
you.
video, you know, for that the time that you had to be over here. Do you have anything to say or anything to ask?
You know, I want to thank you for being. I feel very humbled that you would ask me to give advice to people. You know, I'm just a regular American person. I'm not some, you know, really scholarly whatever. I'm not a professor or anything like that. But I'm grateful that Lenon asked me to give some encouragement to you guys, and I'm very grateful for that opportunity. And
I really appreciate it, and let's keep in touch. All right.
yes, of course. Thank you.
Take care, buddy.
Bye, everyone.